This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast.
Welcome to the XNC Podcast. I am your host, Magathon, and this over here is, of course, the owner of the channel, Colteastwood. How are we doing tonight, Colteastwood? Good evening, Chad. Good evening, everybody. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. Nice of you to hijack the show. I love it. I thought your natural
born... What do you mean hijack the show? You told me to.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
I said, we're going live in 3 seconds. I go, Mag, you do the intro. And he's like,
yeah, see, ladies and gentlemen, he clearly framed me. Okay, I've been framed. That's all there is to it. I'm leaving the show. I'm done.
Everyone's like, yes. How do we get rid of Colt, too?
Yeah. Okay. I'm waiting for Magnum to say something. Magnum's going to be like, oh, my dreams came true. Mag disappeared. Not yet.
All right,
Not yet. Anyways, how's everybody doing? How you doing, Colt? How's it going, buddy? How's the week been treating you? What have you been playing, my friend?
Much better. Last week, nobody probably caught it, but I was like kind of having a rough, week. And my wonderful wife took me to a Mariners game. And
excellent. Oh, actually,
went up to Seattle and hung out for the day and watched the game. And it's been good. And put out a video yesterday on a Sunday, and that's been nice. And I finished Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Excellent.
Finally playing it. I'm glad I played it. It's like in the middle round of the games I like from Assassin's Creed, but I'm glad I played it. And it certainly kept me entertained for a couple weeks. But how about you? What have you been doing?
I got a sizable chunk of Dying Light 2 in my system this week, which I kind of gave it a rest last week as I was playing the first to last, the second's cousin Descendant. So I was playing a lot of First Descendant last week. This week, back to Dying Light 2, and just for fun, because I've been playing Lego Harry Potter again, and it's one of those games I always go back to every 3 years. I adore it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's so good. It has both of them years 1 to 4 and then 5 to 7. Two separate games entirely. But they have a Harry Potter Lego collection they released, right? And I play it once every 3 years. I go and revisit it. I just absolutely adore it. But anyways, doing a little bit of that. First Ascendant, and Dying Light 2, and what else have I been doing? I've been doing a little co-op with my wife on Resident Evil 6. So That's what I've done this week. And other than that, that's it. I'm trying. Oh, and I also wrapped up. You know what I played? I was talking about with Cognito on Friday and Addict and stuff. We were on. Oh my goodness. I can't remember the damn Wasted with Wise was the name of the show. I just dropped by because it was his 50th episode. So it was Wise Old Gamers. Sorry, Wise. I wasn't forgetting your name. I was forgetting the name of the show. Wasted with Wise was on Friday, so we all stopped by to congratulate him on 50 episodes. And I was talking about Sifu was one of those games that it just I just didn't think about it for 2 years. And I just was like, oh, wait a minute, it's for free. And if you have PlayStation Plus. So I played Sifu and I rolled credits on that. And it was a great little game.
Hey, our buddy Red Wolf in the chat just started playing that and discovered Sifu this past week, and he was talking about it. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's a great little game. Like I said, I rolled credits on it. It only took a few days, and I was like, great little indie game. For Xbox fans, I think that's a PlayStation only. I think it's PlayStation only. But if you have PlayStation or
it's PlayStation Plus for free, but it is on Xbox.
Oh no way, the game's on Xbox.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game that should be on Game Pass, to be quite honest.
I think it launched on PlayStation first, very briefly. Chad, help us out if you remember. A shout out to Linkle Batman in the chat, who's also in there. He's got a fledgling YouTube channel as well. You can check that out if you like Minecraft stuff. I want to give a shout out to Yonari Kazada, who's one of the best mods on the planet. Happy Bomb as well, another great mod. We got Kirk Adams in the chat, Blue Arrow, Literal Table, Jason Wan, Alex Ant, True Serum, Game Adaptation Newscast. When you were talking about naming the podcasts, we watch so many podcasts, Mag, that we're bound to flub a name when we're trying to say it a million miles an hour.
Dude, that's like every day when someone hits me with a question or talks to me, or even if I'm on a show or whatever, I will forget, because I am dealing with so many, like, not only just my work at, like, in the real world of, like, the corporate world, and dealing with all those people from all over North America and everything else, and trying to remember all that, and then all the YouTube and all the shows I watch, and remember the names of this and that and whatever, and then of course knowing a lot of these people personally, I know their real names and of course their stage names, so I get those confused too. I'm like, how much can this brain handle? Like, it's too much, man. It's crazy. But anyways, someone in the chat, who said this? I see you in the chat somewhere. Blue something, not Blue Number. No. It was something else.
Blue Arrow.
Oh, yeah. Blue Arrow. There you go. Blue Arrow.
Sifu
was a timed exclusive, then came to Xbox. That's the kind of game that should have been on Game Pass. Like that's a perfect game for it. It's an excellent indie game. It's great quality. And it's on PlayStation Plus. There's no excuse that it shouldn't be on Game Pass. It should be on Game Pass. So that if anybody who doesn't want to shell out the ducats to buy it, you've got a service that people are already paying more money for these days. You know what? Give them the game, Xbox. What's the matter with you?
It was $20 or $30, I think. Yeah, I can't remember.
You spent $70 billion for Tony Hawk, but you can't shell out a few bucks for Sifu?
I mean, I could do a whole show about how much money they spent and how cheap Microsoft and Xbox are. If you wanted to, we'll do it. We'll do a show on a Thursday, and we'll block out 9 hours, and you and I we'll get drinks and we'll talk about how Xbox is so cheap, but they spend the most. They're like that crazy rich
I'm
uncle.
going to start the $3 trillion company. We have to start a GoFundMe for their marketing for Europe. But that's a whole other thing.
Their card table that says
everybody
Xbox is a good console. Changed my mind. Yeah, that's their marketing in Europe. Shout out to that Blue Number who's in the chat as well. She said the internet's being a little tiny wonky. I was gonna say something. I wonder how the internet's doing. Oh, it looks like it's doing fine. It might be
Seems
YouTube.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking over here and the number is good. My number is like at the full green. Everything's nice, but
Oh, I'm blazing over here.
The internet will do what it wants to. I also wanted to bring up that Blue Number because we were on the Iron Lords Pay It Forward charity stream that was hosted.
Oh, very nice.
By the Iron Lords, but also major part because of Ben Kenobi. And there were some heavy hitters that I didn't get to be on there with, but Jeff Rubenstein, Larry Herb, aka Major Nelson, was on there. Who else? There were some great people from Xbox team and big content creators. Mr. Boomstick was on there. I was on there briefly. It was great. Jez was there. There was too many to mention, and I couldn't even watch the whole thing. They ran the show like for hours and raised a bunch of money for charity for children. Good. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Greenberg was on there. Game adaptations keep me in check. Yeah, good old Greeny was on there, and he just says in the spur of the moment, Mag, he goes, "Let's give away the Halo custom console and the Halo custom Elite controller," and he's like, "Let's just give it away," and he offered it, and it brought up the donation. So. Well, speaking of shout outs, I got to do one more shout out. Good friend, Game Seeker, who has been a channel member for a long time for Ecstasy and the channel, hit me up yesterday, Mag, and goes, "Colt, do you have a code for Marvel Rivals?" And if you've paid attention, I've been talking about Fragpunk, Concord, and Marvel Rivals. And I said, I really want to play Marvel Rivals. I actually think it looks really cool. And he's like, "Do you have a code?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Here." And he drops it to me in Discord. And I'm putting the code in. He goes, "If you get another code, let me know." I'm like, "Wait, you don't have one?" He goes, "No, I wanted you to have one so you could talk about it on the show." And so we got on party chat for about 2 hours while I played it. And I told him everything as it was happening. And we just talked about life and had some good laughs. Game Seeker's a cool guy. Follow him if you see him in the chat. I think he'd be here. I don't see him yet, but
I don't see him yet.
Marvel Rivals, total ripoff of Overwatch in every way. The UI, the feel, the presentation, but it's all third person. And the characters, I was going to put gameplay together for this, but I thought it might bore some people. But the characters look really cool, Mag. Like the men look like men and the women look like women and they look like their superhero counterparts. The flowing hair, like the hair flows on the characters. Like it looks so cool. It's almost cell shaded, but just a great art style. And it feels really great. There was a limited closed beta. I don't know if you care. It's something I might mess around for a little bit, but I wanted to give a report on it. I was really happy playing it yesterday for a couple hours. That's my report of Marvel Rivals. I think it's going to do phenomenal because, Mag, I'm talking a lot, but because it had 23 times more people in the open beta in one day than the peak of Concord. And Concord's in big trouble. They've got a monetization plan. They got a plan where everything comes free with the paid $40 thing. But I think before August 23rd, hold on. I don't want to just sit here and talk the whole time. One of the big things we're going to talk about today, Mag and I are going to break down what's coming out in the next few months because we didn't do that last week. So we're going to talk about this packed schedule. And in August 23rd is Concord's release. And I think they may pull the e-brake and make a big change because that game will be dead if it comes out as is. So that's what I did. I played some Concord. Or I played some Marvel Rivals. So yeah.
Colt, make up your mind. What were you playing?
I did play Concord, but yeah, I played Rivals yesterday. So, and I liked it. Like Katy Perry
that's
says.
Good. That's excellent. You know, well, she kissed a girl. But tasted like cherry chapstick. Listen, I'm glad to hear that the men looked like men. I was going to start to wonder there was going to maybe be like the opening of the Paris Olympics. But anyways, let's get back to the gaming topic at hand. Anyways, what do you want to talk about tonight, buddy?
oh yeah, topics. So, you know, sometimes I got another game I got to talk about. And
yes,
I'll just be very brief and then you can just give me what the heck you think you would expect from it. But I downloaded and got Fallout London running, and my reception for it's been like,
That's
I don't
what
know.
I heard. Ho hum. So I didn't even bother looking at it.
Yeah, I love Fallout 4, and every time I play it, it's wonderful. And the thing is, Meg, I can't sit here and say, well, this is what I don't like, this and this and this and this, but it's absolutely free. It's totally free. I bought the game for $15, the base game on GOG, on good old good old Gamers Galaxy or whatever it's called. I bought the game on PC again so that I could have an easy mod into it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. And I don't know how much time I'll spend to it, but I don't know what you thought other than what you said, but just not really interested in.
Yeah, no, it didn't really do anything for it. When I started reading about it and I started hearing about it, I was just like, oh boy. I'm like, okay, well, that's a bit of a nothing burger, but I'm like, all right, I'll just move on to the next thing, and then just trying to keep it positive, trying to keep it moving forward, and that's the only thing that you could do.
Sure.
I gotta tell you something. I see some people in the chat talking about the numbers. Same thing happened last summer, where we all had the same thing where we started to panic around like late July, early August, and going, oh my God, everything's falling apart. And then all of a sudden, September, we went back up to like 1,500 people per show, like live or whatever.
Yeah. Also,
so yeah, it's the summertime.
It's this season, down. But also last year during the downtime, which is usually July and August, the ABK battle was completely embroiled. Like they were actually physically going in. Like I think that's around this time. Matt and Sarah and Phil were like sitting down with the FTC and the judge and they were doing all that. So
yeah, there was a more exciting summer last year, and even then the numbers were cut in half. It was still like half of what we were getting, and then all of a sudden September just fires back up again, and then by October, November, we start blazing again, and then you hit those slow spots because let's face it, like when it comes to a lot of shows, there's a lot of shows out there, and listeners are fickle because they're going to pay attention for the big stuff. When there's drama in the world, everybody's tuning in, right? If there's nothing going on, nobody's tuning in because there's nothing to do. And it's summer. People are out there doing stuff, whatever else. And they're not excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying this is what happens every single year. This is my second summer on the show, and it's the exact same thing. So, but anyways, so don't worry. We ain't going anywhere and got nothing to do about political stuff and all that stuff. So,
I mean, if you're a games journalist, a games media site, they're going through it really tough right now. Some of my favorite gaming sites, Mag, have been reporting on big bombastic news only to be turned around the next day and said, oh, no, that was a false report. There's such a nothing burger. One of the things was Grand Theft Auto 6. And whenever Grand Theft Auto 6 enters a cycle, everyone gets super excited. And I was going to make the thumbnail based on Grand Theft Auto 6 because you and I are both really excited. But one of the rumors was that it may get pushed into 2026 because the Voice Actors Guild is on strike because of AI and what the companies are trying to do. But that turns out that won't affect Grand Theft Auto 6 at all. Apparently, all of the voice acting stuff's already done. So the other item was that one of the CEOs at Rockstar, Mag, said, when people review bomb games, it really hurts their bottom line. And kind of hinting that people might be disappointed with Grand Theft Auto 6 because a former developer is saying it's kind of more of the same. And I'm sitting here going, is it? I mean, it might be easy to stand back and say, oh, baseball is just a game where you hit a ball with a stick. But Rockstar usually brings out some magic. Well, they always bring out magic. What do you think about GTA 6 being an absolute failure?
Yeah, okay. I saw that as well. There was someone, there was like, some random ass developer from somewhere said Grand Theft Auto 6 may disappoint some. And I'm like, if you actually think I'm stupid enough to click on this dumb article, I'm not going to do it. First of all, it's not going to suck. Every single Rockstar game that has ever come out, they've all said the same thing. This game can't live up to the expectations of X, Y, and Z, right? Every single Rockstar title they have done, they've been doing this since Vice City. And I have been there for all of it because I'm old. So I've been there and I've heard all the crap from everybody else. And now GTA 6, and now they're talking the same old smack. Then they started talking because they're trying to find any kind of news that will put everything back into the algorithm because everybody's numbers are in the toilet. I just saw somebody else saying, I don't want to say which one because I didn't want to, whatever. But someone saying one of the other big prominent podcasts, they hit a total, the highest number was 250 viewers. And I was just like, holy crap. And I'm like, these are guys who hit like 1,500 to 2,000 live viewers per show. And they were hitting 250. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyways, the point is, the reason why I brought that up is that you put Grand Theft Auto in the cycle, Grand Theft Auto GTA 6 in the cycle, all of a sudden the algorithm picks it up, right? Because then people start to look at it. And so now they're trying to scrape for any news they could get that's possible. For example, I saw another one that's going around today. There's a thumbnail going around saying that trailer number 2 is coming out on August 4th. And I'm like, there's no way on earth trailer 2 is coming out that early. No way. So people are making like there's a thumbnail out there. August 4th is this Sunday. But like the game doesn't come out for another, presumably at least another year. They're not going to release trailer 2 within a few months of the last trailer. Then they just released the last trailer in the spring. And if it's still another year away, no way, man. I would say probably the Game Awards, like let's say the halfway point of a year, then they'll release a trailer 2, and then 3 months before release they'll release trailer 3, which will give you like a proper, maybe a more in-depth story, and then it might give you a little glimpse of the GTA Online, which they did with GTA 5. Like if you watch that progression of their advertising, and then of course launch trailer for the week of, and that's it. That's what they're gonna do. There's no way. So just like you're saying, and then the Screen Actors Guild thing with them on strike, it has no influence over the UK. The game is being developed in the United Kingdom. It's not being, there's parts of it that are being developed in the United States, in Canada, all over the place, and all over the parts of the world. But you don't need the Screen Actors Guild to do that. Just ask that abomination of the Lord of the Rings. What the hell is it called? The one on Amazon. Rings of Power.
Ring of Power.
Yeah. Rings of Power was one of the only shows that was able to continue filming during the strike that they had in the spring, is because they're not part of the Screen Actors Guild. They're in the UK. It's a whole other situation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, some of them can be. Some of them can be, sorry. But the majority of them, because a lot of them travel back and forth, whatever. But the majority of them who are actually not part of the Screen Actors Guild in the UK, they're able to pull talent from other parts of the UK and Europe that are not part of the Screen Actors Guild. Rockstar could do the exact same thing. So if they have any work that needs to be done, they could just get anybody. Put out an advertisement, and some dude from like wherever can like just come over and be like, yeah, I can do that voice. And then boom, off they go. Right?
Okay. Well,
they don't need them. And of course, like you said, the majority of the voice work is done.
It must be.
But a lot of the pickups for these for games and for production happen usually within 90 days of release. So there is going to be a more voice work that's going to be required just later on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that all that stuff's done. I'm sure there's more to be done, but somebody spoke up and said that the release date wasn't going to be affected by the strikes going on right now. And people talking about opening night live or game awards for Grand Theft Auto, I don't even think they have to piggyback on someone's event. I think that I would predict the next Grand Theft Auto major trailer would be they would just host it on YouTube, put it up. They don't need anybody else. And one of the other things that came from that was, so there's a super chat. It's something that I don't even know if I want to talk about, but I'll bring it up briefly. the other thing was that GamesIndustry.biz reported that the majority of the players on Grand Theft Auto Online right now are on PS4, not on PS5 or PC or Xbox.
Probably kids.
Yeah,
it's probably kids. Like the kids my son's age, 10, 11 years old, they're all still playing GTA Online right now. I mean, like they play Fortnite and whatever else, like the standards, right? My son is playing First Descendant with one of his friends, and the rest of them are playing, GTA, between GTA Online and they're playing Fortnite. And not everybody at 10 years old is lucky enough to get a PS5. Okay, so a lot of those kids, like none of my son's friends have Xboxes. It's just not a thing. My daughter actually is the only person I know out of all those kids that age group that have an Xbox. She has an Xbox, a Series S, and the rest of them have PS4s. And there's only a handful. I think there's three or four, including my son, that have a PS5 because, let's face it, the parents aren't going to shell out $750 Canadian for a PS5 just so the kid can play the same game he's playing right now, right? And a lot of people around the world are probably thinking the same thing. Why am I going to buy him a new one if he's just playing the same game, right? He's happy, he's fine, he's turning it on every day. Same thing with the Xbox One and the Xbox One S. A lot of people kept those into the new generation because what's the point? A lot of them are playing these other games that do not require the power of a series console or a PS5 or a PC for that matter.
Simply said, to sum up Mag's comments, which I agree, that all of those PS4 gamers are probably not the big spenders. And so the worry was that if half of the customers on PlayStation are still on PS4, how are they going to survive with just a PS5? And my response was, there's 60 million PS5s. With Xbox Series consoles, there's 100 million people that could buy Grand Theft Auto 6. And Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't sell 100 million copies immediately and then runs out of customers. Like, that isn't a problem. And I thought it was kind of interesting to say, oh no, the old 2013 through 2020 PS4 customers, how are they going to get Grand Theft Auto? Well, they're going to go buy a PS5 or they're going to buy an Xbox. Like, that's as simple as it is. If there's somebody who's still on a PS4 that has to have GTA, they'll just buy a console. It's not going to be a big deal. So I can
tell you right now, Colt.
I'll tell you
right now.
You tell me.
If presumably, and it's a pretty solid assumption, I should say, as I presume and I assume at the same time, that Sony will have the marketing rights for Grand Theft Auto as they've had every Rockstar marketing rights since, my God, it's almost got to be almost it's about almost a decade and a half. Oh yeah, no, it's about 2 decades. What am I talking about? It's about 2 decades they've had the marketing rights for almost every Rockstar game that's come out.
Yeah.
So I don't see that changing. I'm sure they had that worked out ahead of time. So what's going to happen is when that Pro model comes out, they're going to put those base PS5s for half price, guaranteed. You go watch. It's going to be when it launches. Let's say presumably it launches around
PlayStation. Will you think they'll knock down
100%
to like 300, $400 or
100? Even I would say even less. You remember the PS4 $199 thing with the Spider-Man when it came out?
Yeah, but
Spider-Man
that was a Black Friday deal, and it was killer.
And Black Friday is going to be approximately let's say the game comes out presumably September. At the end of November, when it's Black Friday, which is going to be about 2.5 months after release, they're going to start releasing for the holiday season digital only PS5s for $200. Mark my words. Maybe 280, 270 because they're going to pack in GTA 6 with it and make a big deal out of it. They'll sell tens of millions of consoles and games.
Yeah.
And that's what people are waiting for, because the casuals who are playing on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or an Xbox One S right now, they're not shelling out for a Pro, and they're not going to shell out for the possibility of like a $700, $600 Xbox handheld like a ROG Ally. That's not going to happen.
I would think a large chunk of people who are still on PS4 or Xbox One probably don't buy mini games really at all. That'll just be my assumption. My assumption is a large chunk of those people. What's that?
But they will get Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, they'll have to buy the console plus get it. But I wouldn't expect that people who are still on an older console buy very many games, because at this point, only half of the main games that come out are even available on those old consoles. So
I think that they're going to start bundling for 50% off towards the end of the generation. They start bundling with the GTAs because, let's face it, PC gamers also don't get to play it. So they don't get to play it either. So they're going to have to play it on some kind of a console anyway. So a lot of them who don't want to do it will have to begrudgingly, if they're really not going to wait.
They're not going to wait.
They're really not going to wait. If they're not going to wait, then they're going to have to begrudgingly go out there and buy a console. What are they going to do? They're going to go to Facebook Marketplace where they can buy one for like $200 from some dude, right? Or some soccer mom who bought it for their kids and their kids don't touch it or whatever, right? Or they buy them at 50% off towards the end of the generation, and then they or if Sony decides to bundle it with a system for a heavy discount, which I absolutely see them doing, because what the real push is going to be after that for the hardcore are going to be the PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And the casual's not going to spend $600.
No. I mean, you and I are making a big generalization. The casuals do not buy many games, and they definitely don't buy a console just for a game. I think I remember buying a console just to play GTA 4, but I was not a casual. But there's also the obstacle of the money too.
Sure, the money is the big thing, and especially these days as things are getting tougher for people, harder for people. The inflation's up, although they claim inflation's down. My ass. And then, but everybody's struggling to survive out there. A lot of people don't have the kind of money to throw around. I was lucky enough that when GTA 4 came out, at that point, I remember I played GTA the first three, we'll call it the original trilogy. There, I played those on PlayStation 2. And then I played GTA 4 on my Xbox 360. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, was that not the very first game the very first Grand Theft Auto to make it to an Xbox system was GTA 4. So if I was not
day one, yeah, because shoot, I cannot remember. I know that Vice City, I'm pretty sure 3 had a release, but Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was the first one. If I remember right, I remember him like 02 or something, or 03 is when San Andreas came to the Xbox original console. I don't remember because I didn't get into that till 07, so I was way behind the curve, and I don't know. The point being that NC in the chat said PC gamers will wait. Absolutely. There are a good chunk of PC gamers that refuse to buy a console. But I bet if you polled the world, gamers that are on PC probably have access to a console somehow, somewhere. So I don't know if like a diehard PC gamer is going to go buy a PS5 Pro or an Xbox Series X, but it's going to be pretty hard to ignore that game for a year.
That's a year. That's presuming that it comes out within a year of the launch of the console launch. When did GTA 5? What was the chat? You'll know because you guys can type faster than we are.
It was 2 years. Okay. I think it was 2015. 2015 is when Grand Theft Auto 5 launched on PC, but I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was 1 year. But I don't know.
We'll see. We'll have to see. But I mean, the FOMO is going to be insane with that game. I mean, this is Grand Theft Auto we're talking about, and it's going to be the first time in 12 years. Excuse me. 12 years from the last game. You're telling me that, Mr. PC man is going to sit at home and go, nah, I'm good for 2 years, as he's slowly ripping his skin off his face.
Well, to be fair, like we're talking a lot of crap, but we also forget that those type of gamers don't flock toward the third person action adventure open world game. Like that's not really their. So who knows?
Also, a lot of PC players I know, a lot of them complement their PC rig with a PS5 anyway.
Sure, of course, that's
because they play Xbox on PC, right? Yeah. They play PC games, they play Steam games, they play Xbox. They got Xbox Game Pass on PC, and then they buy a PS5 for everything else. So a lot of them already have that the complementary system at home. Because I mean, let's face it, if you're a PC gamer, you probably got some money to burn. You know what I mean? Because it's. I mean, you're not building a rig for $500 like a console, right?
Yeah.
So you generally
they don't have any money left over, but
or they have nothing left after spending it all on a 4090 or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's still even a cheaper model is still going to cost you double the price of a console. I know some people are going to be like, I can make a build for $47.99.
Oh, I've been through that.
190,000 frames per second, bro.
I used to get the old PC lists. Okay. Like they're like, I can build a PC for under $500 when the Xbox is coming out, and then they show me the list and it's missing Windows, it's missing the case, you know. And like people say, oh, it needs a monitor. No. But like, okay, you can get a case for $40. It's nothing special.
It's the graphics card that's basically the majority of the price right there. I mean, like you look at some of these graphics cards at like $700 just for the graphics card.
Oh yeah, just a great graphics card costs much the console. You know who's smarter than us though is definitely the people that are smarter than us is Rockstar. They know what they're doing. Like we can talk what if, who's going to buy what. But Rockstar knows the PC guys will double dip, or they'll wait and they'll buy it in force. No problem.
And you know what?
A year later,
double dip. And Colt, we're going to double dip too, just like everybody else did when the new Xbox and the new PS6 comes out, and then they re-release Grand Theft Auto 6 again, Anniversary Edition, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Everybody's going to buy it for the new consoles, and that's why they sold, 180 million copies?
I bought Grand Theft Auto 5 4 times.
Oh, okay. Well,
360, Xbox One, PC, and then the Series X version was like $20. So I bought it 4 times. Stupid.
I actually only bought it once for the 360, and the reason why I didn't buy it for the Xbox One is because remember they put it on Game Pass. So they had it for a limited time on Game Pass. So I played it again on Xbox Game Pass. I don't know why I had to say it like that. Xbox Game Pass. I played it again on Game Pass, so I never actually purchased it twice. However, my son, being a pain in the ass, I said, dude, you can just play it on Game Pass, when it's on here, whatever. I'll play it with my friends. And I'm like, and then I'm like, all right, fine. So he ended up buying it for the PS5. So like, that's how they get you. They get you generation after generation, and then just know that people are just going to keep buying it, right? It's mad.
Yeah, and that was
whatever.
That was the Xbox, the regular Xbox version on Game Pass, because today it's being rumored that the next generation version of Grand Theft Auto 5 that's made for PS5 and Xbox Series consoles is supposed to be coming to Game Pass really soon. Another game that's rumored to come to Game Pass, we already know about Modern Warfare 2, is Mafia Definitive Edition's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
I already played it. I played it at launch. I loved it, but
loved it. Great game. If you haven't played it, it does come to Game Pass. Any of you Xbox gamers out there who haven't played it, do yourself a favor. If they do drop it in there, you must play it.
Yeah, just play it.
Fantastic game. And for any of you completionists, have fun with the car race. That's all I'm gonna say.
I played that
if you know, you know.
I played that like the very end of the summer of 2020, right before the Xbox Series X was launching. Right at the end of the generation. True 77 says
on a 1S.
You played it what?
I played it on a 1S.
Oh, okay.
Because my 1X melted. I had an Xbox One X, and the stupid thing melted, and then I tried to get it repaired, and the guy like ripped it open and looked at it. He goes, "Dude, this is not repairable." The entire thing just melted,
like fused in.
Heat. Yeah, it was totally destroyed. So I'm like, well, to hell with you. I'm not buying another console before a new generation. I had a 1S kicking around the house, so I played that for like the last 8 months of the gen before the Series X came out.
When you lower your standards, you can really enjoy something, right?
I had no choice. What was I going to do? Like, I didn't want to dish out another $700.
I know, and you were like a couple of months away from the new generation.
Yeah,
it was months. It was a couple months. Where a True 77 says, "I never tried Mafia."
God darn it! You got to do it.
It's Grand Theft Auto set in the 40s. It's very limited in what you'd expect from a Grand Theft Auto game. The storytelling's better than Grand Theft Auto. It's just very limited. When you play the game and you're used to other open world city sandbox games, you're like, oh, Mafia doesn't do anything. But what it does is drive you from point to point, great gunplay, great story. They're all great. Even Mafia 3, which is kind of one of my favorites now. I think I like that one over even 2, which is most everybody's favorite. So yeah, true. You got to play them. You got to play them.
You know what? For me, what was actually a guilty pleasure is Mafia 3. I loved the story. of Mafia 3. I thought it was such an engaging story, and the violence was top notch. The actual like the technicality of the game, that there was some jank in there. There was a lot of screen tearing. There was some weird stuff going on. Like you go like down to the lake or whatever, and there was literally like a boat floating across the sky like Thor, and I'm just like, what the hell was that? And it was like a boat floating around. So on a technical level, it wasn't great. The music was absolutely killer in that game. If they actually threw a couple of bucks and did like a full remaster of that game or remake of that game and kept everything intact, that would be absolutely killer.
Last year I was playing it on PC, and it's really, it's sharper and runs smoother, but they fixed most of those bugs after all this time. But Mafia 3 is so special. That game takes place like right when my dad got out of high school. So like when I play the game, I kind of get this window into what life was like for him. Lincoln Clay is a Vietnam vet. Oh, it's
man.
This isn't a Mafia podcast, but yeah, true. You need to play it, bro.
It is. I'm on it.
Mag's in it. Mag's in the game. Yeah, all of Mag's relatives.
No, this is a Mafia podcast because I'm here in the podcast. Steven Southwick, you're actually not wrong. He's actually said Mafia 3 was just too repetitive. He's not wrong. It actually was. Like the missions were very repetitive, but what kept me going back was the story. It was the story about Lincoln Clay that I was just like, oh my God, what's going to happen next?
The character,
and then of course there was other like surprise cameos from other people in the series and this and that from past Mafias and things like that. And I was just like, ooh. And I really enjoyed that level. And of course, the music was absolutely top notch.
And it's in the Bayou. It's 1968. The music's fantastic. It
was amazing. I mean, like it opens with Jimi Hendrix, for God's sake. It goes from Jimi Hendrix right into Creedence Clearwater Revival, and then like the Doors, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. But yeah, man, if they could do do a little love on that game, give that game a little love, they could certainly fix that thing up. But
yeah, I played all of it at the. Remember we were talking, the reason why we brought up Mafia Definitive Edition, that's the very first Mafia game, which has been remastered. I think it's still 30 frames though, because it hasn't been enhanced. But that released at the end of the Xbox One PS4 generation. That's coming to Game Pass. And because I enjoyed Mafia 1 for the first time at the end of 2020, I went back and picked up my save on Xbox of Mafia 3 at 30 frames, and I didn't regret a moment. I played it as is, and I loved it. So, yeah, that's, well, you guys are all talking about how much you love it. So, yeah, truth's like sold. I appreciate that. I'm going to read a couple supers here. Tallgeese Zero, thank you for the Canadian $3, says, rest in peace, the Xbox 360 store, and hail Mag from London West 401.
Hail on the 401, West 401 London. You're about an hour away from me, but yes.
I'm like, all right, I can see him.
Yeah, I could see him from my rooftop with my binoculars. If you wave.
I don't want to talk about this too long because I'm kind of indifferent, but they finally closed down the Xbox 360 store. You can no longer buy or download games from there. You can't buy them anymore. I don't know why they're doing this, why they don't just like convert everything up, but this is like a thing they decided to do, is completely cut it off. It's a slap in the face to preservation. But my take is, if there are games that are 15 years, 18 years old that you haven't bought yet, like what are you waiting for? What were you waiting for? I have a hard time feeling bad about this when if I wanted to buy a game, there was so many opportunities for me to try it or whatever, but still, this is a slap in the face to preservation. So I'm very indifferent about my opinion, and I won't be super sympathetic, but why in the crap, Mag? Why is Xbox shutting this down instead of like bringing it up like they've been banging the drum for so long?
That's what I found. So like, to me, the actual act of closing it down wasn't what did it for me. It was just the fact that they've talked about, especially the big guy talks about game preservation, and then Sarah Bonda sort of picked up that torch of game preservation and everything else, and the ecosystem preservations. They could have easily just brought that up and kept that as a subcategory in their modern storefront, right? And just like I understand I know it sounds very simple for me to just be able to say, oh yeah, well, just do this.
Right, I know.
And not understand the logistics of how that's done and everything else. But I mean, there must have been a reason beyond what we know as to why they did it, not just only the fact that there was probably wasn't a lot of engagement left in there, and it's 2 generations back, so I'm not really complaining about that. But if they bring the games up, like never mind the storefront or anything else, but if they actually bring all the games that were available there and the arcade games that they still have the licensing for, see, maybe that's part of the issue. I don't know.
Hold on, because
yeah.
I will be upfront with you. Sometimes when news breaks, I can't be bothered to read into it because, I wasn't going to bring this up because I didn't take the time to become educated and informed about what's going on. And special shout out to Hargeet Chani, as always, Hargeet Chani, and also in the chat that was clarifying it, APIMB. They both said, no, you can still buy these games on the PC browser. You just can't load up your old Xbox 360, load it up on your TV, and flip through the store and start buying games. Right. Help me out and help further clarify, guys. If that's what they did, if they said you can no longer go into your 360 console and buy games, that's the part that's been cut off, then I'm not sure how concerned I should be. I don't know, Mag.
Yeah, that's like, to me, if that's the case, then that's really just not much of a news story then, because I mean, like, how many people are actually honestly doing that these days? And it's fine to be able to like have your 360 have a library of games on the wall that you could put in and then just load up.
And you can. You just can't further buy stuff.
So then that's fine. I don't see what the issue is beyond that.
Who cares?
Yeah, like if I want to play Army of One on my 360 and I happen to have the Army of One disc on the wall, all right, fine, cool, I get it.
Of course,
you just grab the disc, put it in, you play, then it's fine. So in that respect, it's okay. So I don't really see what the big deal is beyond that then. If that is truly the case, then whatever.
I mean, I know it's another thing, chat, that they have to maintain. Somebody has to manage and secure and maintain the ability to buy games on the console. A 360 console, they stopped pushing software updates for not too long ago. It's just one of those things. I got to give a shout out to the Xbox Expansion Pass, who's been in the chat for a few minutes. I was waiting for a moment to say shout out to shout out to Luke, who was I was on his podcast. Shout out to Incepted Ghost, appreciate you, and shout out to our friend Infinite Umbra, who's also in the chat. So that's the 360 store. Any final words before we kill the 360 store?
No, I haven't. I sold my my Modern Warfare 3 Xbox 360. When you fire it up, it actually does the fire up sound from the night vision goggles. Amazing. But I sold it for quite a pretty penny from a collector. And it was mint condition. And I'm like, dude, just take it. I don't care. I don't collect stuff anymore. Yeah. So I sold it for a pretty penny, and I never looked back. Why would I bother? I'm just moving forward.
Yeah, I've got one right here, so I'm plugged in. This is the one I've had forever. And then we have one hooked up the TV for Rock Band. Yeah, but we can't. It does suck. So I'm a fraud. If I wanted to go on and buy a song on Rock Band, the store won't be there. But I haven't bought a song in forever, so whatever.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, are you actually booting up your 360 to buy something? Like, come on.
We did a couple years ago. I bought a couple songs, but I think that store, the Rockstar or Rock Band store, was maybe it didn't always work. I don't know.
You want to see what game preservation is? Look behind me.
I know. Well,
that's game preservation, kids.
PC is the best game preservation, but Xbox console, in everything they're doing, is far and away better right now than their competition. So, shout out to Special Nick in the chat as well.
Nick, what does he want?
I don't know. I want to have him on.
Want him here.
I want to get him on the show so you and I can.
I don't want him on the show because you know what that's going to bring. It's not Nick. It's got nothing to do with you. Because he's just going to be bait. Because what's going to happen is Special Nick's going to show up, and then that other guy's going to show up, and that's the one I don't want to talk to. Risk It for the Biscuit's going to come in there, drunk, on the chat.
Just because they're from Australia doesn't mean they live together.
It doesn't matter.
It's a big island.
Show up. I know it is, but he's going to show up.
But Risk It's right there in the chat. Say hi to him.
It's going to be Special Nick's fault. There he is. I see him in green. My God, yeah. His name in green for vomit. Yeah.
Oh,
the color of vomit. Yeah.
Shout out to Risk It in the chat. Boom, he says. Well, good old Risk It. We love Risk It. We do. We really do.
Wow. you do, but I mean that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. We could just say we do.
I saw you guys beefing on Twitter the other day. It's glorious. Donataku, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says, just want to thank you again, Colt. Really excited to go to PAX West and meet you in person. Donataku was one of the winners of 5 4-day passes I was giving out for PAX in Seattle in September. So I'm looking at his picture. I'm like, okay, I got to pick him out in a crowd because I can't wait to meet him. He's been in the chat for so long. He's been in the RDX chat for even longer. So I can't wait to meet him. Udana Kizana, thanks for the $2 super. Says, happy birthday to channel legend Talos Ray with cake. Yeah, happy birthday. I think he said he turned 50. Mag, we've done that several times.
I've turned 54 times right now. I'm on my 5th one. Yeah, I'm turning 50 next year. So yeah, that'll be a whole situation. Yeah, but I'm gonna be in Italy, and then I'm gonna be in Germany. Italy 1 year, and then the year my 50, and then 51 because my brother and all my other friends turned 50 because they're a year younger than me. Shout out to the G5. Y'all know who you are. We're gonna go to Germany, so I'm be
predicting, Mag, that weekend I will get a picture of your butt crack or something while you're, just having too much fun. It's just like, Colt, did I send you my?
Not the Italy one, because the Italy one I'm going with my wife. But Germany is going to be boys only, and that's going to 100% be off the chain. We're going to be
more than one crack on that trip.
Yeah, it's going to be something, man. We're going to be flying into Munich, and then my brother's been to Germany several times for business, so he knows the spots. So we're going to take it from there. It's going to be wild.
I just want to warn you guys that Mag has the joystick and buttons from Street Fighter 2 tattooed on his rear end. So
I should. You don't want to know what the start button is. Anyways, Colt, let's carry on.
So I wanted to warn you guys.
And if you check on the other side, I got a joystick. Anyways, go on. Yes, Colt.
All the negative stuff out of the way. Mag and I are going to break down what the schedule of games that are coming out in just a moment here. Shout out to KJ Wars 85 for gifting 5 channel memberships. Appreciate all of you who are there and supporting the channel. I put out that video on Sunday, and you guys were very super cool for support. I appreciate that. Let's talk about Playground Games. Apparently today it was reported Playground Games is a 3rd studio being built up right now. They have the Playground Games Forza Horizon studio, a separated Playground Games RPG studio that's finishing up Fable, and a 3rd studio. And I don't know what in the world that could be. And I don't even know if it's even a discussion at this point. But Playground Games is probably the greatest and most confident talent that Xbox has in their studio suite. And they want a 3rd studio. So I hope that's a good thing. And I hope we hear about what they want to do, because that would be like 8 years from now. But I don't know. I think that's cool. One of the other pieces of news is that Stalker 2 got yet another delay. They're pushing out 2 months. And the reason why I bring up the Stalker delay now is because I think Stalker being delayed until the middle of November actually puts Xbox in a really difficult situation with all of the major games releasing in October, November, but also their own first-party games that they're supposed to be releasing in that time frame. So, we are going to talk about that in just a moment. So we'll go right back to that. Meg, there's one little tidbit that released. It's not like one of your big exciting factors, but Starfield is supposed to be announcing Shattered Space DLC soon. I mean, I think the DLC would come out in like maybe a month, and there's still no release date. They said it was 2024. This is my frustration with Xbox, where they have all these games and they just do not want to talk about when those games are coming out. We're going to talk about the push of that. Starborn is a trademark that was put for supposedly the next DLC after Shattered Space, but we don't even have a release date for Shattered Space. Is Todd Howard and Bethesda in trouble?
No, they're doing just fine. They may not be my cup of tea, but I mean, Elder Scrolls is more my speed. I love shooters. I just did not like Starfield. But I would imagine that Starfield, the Shattered Space DLC, would probably launch about a month before Call of Duty. My guess is somewhere between the middle to the 3rd week of September would make a lot of sense. However, Here's the thing. now that they've delayed Stalker 2 presumably for just 2 months. I know they keep saying, I really wish, and I understand this. I understand the circumstances that are going on with Stalker 2 in that part of the world and all the stuff that's going on over there. It's not exactly an easy situation for anybody. However, that being the case, I really wish they would stop this CD Projekt Red thing where it's like every couple of months they're going to send out one of those emails. You remember the CD Projekt Red emails? It was the yellow email with the
box.
Yeah, it was the yellow email with the black border. And as soon as you saw that on Twitter, you're like, oh,
here we go.
Here we go. And they keep delaying and delaying and delaying. I would actually prefer that if there's not a chance, that this game is coming out 100% in November, stop talking about it. Just do your thing. There's plenty of other stuff to do, lots of other games to play on several different fronts. You got Nintendo stuff, you got PlayStation stuff, you have Xbox stuff, you've got Call of Duty everywhere. There's going to be all kinds of stuff going on. PC gamers can do whatever they got to do. There's lots of stuff everywhere. People will wait. If they wait 17 years for Stalker 2, I think that they could just keep it down, not say a word, and just when it's 100% gone gold and it's ready to go, let it go. And if it's not, then it's not. But the thing is, the thing is, it's this perception thing again, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm really not. But I have to bring it up because it's something that is starting to creep up, and people are starting to talk about it, and they're saying, before they announce it, I understand that Xbox does not own Stalker 2. They have an agreement with them, right?
Yeah, right.
They have a partnership with them for a very short period of time. I think
because Arc 2 is also MIA, and Xbox sort of said, "Hey, here's something we have for you."
Right.
So
now, if I'm not mistaken, the Stalker 2 exclusivity is anywhere between 3 and 6 months. Is that correct? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah,
so it's not a
3+
thing,
months. Yeah, sure.
But they are getting it in Game Pass, so that is a big deal for Xbox and whatever. So the point is that now we're looking at optics again, and the optics are what's going on over there when they announce the delay of that game, and then now what happens is people start grabbing different pieces of food off of different plates and then create their own entree. And all of a sudden it's like, well, Indy Jones doesn't have a release date. Avowed doesn't have a release date. Shattered Space doesn't have a release date. And now they just delayed Stalker 2. And then they just raised the price of Game Pass. Right? So now when people start handpicking all those things, and they're not wrong to do so, I think that if obviously they had dialogue with the studio, that if they're going to say, listen, we need a few more months, that's when I think the brass or the people that sit down at Xbox and get paid a lot of money to do this job should sit down and say, okay, guys, gals, whatever, okay, from an optics point of view, this is going to look bad. So we're going to need to reorganize our release dates or slap together a trailer, something, make a big deal. I know they apparently don't have money for advertising, but do something so that it doesn't look bad. Yeah. But now you've got a game delayed and you've got 3 other titles this fall with no release dates. And so for the I hate to say this, but for the uninitiated, they're going to say, what the hell are they doing over there?
Right. That's okay to say.
And that's what I'm saying. But we know, I know, you know, and I know
it's okay for the initiated to say the same thing, Mag. But what's going on over there?
I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it, but I'm saying there are other people that have brought that to attention, big YouTubers. And when they start planting that seed, that's Xbox's fault.
Hey,
that is their fault for not being able to pivot. I understand.
Let me support you for let me support you for once in our career on YouTube. No, I have to stand by what you said, because I know we don't want to be so negative all the time, but when Xbox continually hears their loudest audience or their podcast people that talk about their brand, or YouTubers or whatever, right? When they constantly hear what's with the release dates, eventually Xbox is going to say, that's one thing we need to not be tone deaf on. So I think they are really careful about, we don't want to say, okay, November 13th for Avowed. They said that and immediately yanked it, because Xbox is like, we want to release, here's my take, that Xbox might be, we want to release Avowed in November 13th, 2024, but they're almost ready. And the worst thing we'd have to do is put out one of those card emails or tweets that Mag talked about. And that really hurts us when we do that, and it hurts the fans, and they get frustrated and confidence drops. So if we just say 2024 and we wait till the last possible minute when we're nailed down, then we're good to go. But we still don't like that. So
for me, it's not even about a like or dislike, Colt. For me, it's about the optics of the general public. We are, and the people in this chat here, we are in the trenches of this business. We see everything. We understand what's going on. We know how the business moves. Well, for most of us, know how the business moves and how it operates. I'm not saying any of those games are not coming out before people get their, their balls twisted that say, oh, who's going to say that they're not coming out this year? I'm not saying that at all. I am confident that I'm pretty confident that all three of those titles will come out in 2024 as they had advertised. Now, that being the case, the rest of the people who aren't paying as close attention as us, that's what I'm talking about. Those people, all they see is that there's no release dates at all. And then, because they can just look at things at face value. When you look at it at face value, it doesn't show well. And when it doesn't show well, that's when people saying, you raised the price for this? I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Why am I going to pay extra and I don't know what's going on? And so that's why they're going to maybe a little more hesitant. And that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I'm just saying when I start hearing those whispers out in the community that people are saying, yeah, they're starting to, you know what I mean? It's starting to turn molehills into mountains. That's when Xbox, the marketing and the PR teams and everything else should have been on top of this and say, okay, listen, no problem, delay Stalker 2. Fine, no problem. But everybody else, I need you all in this room right now. We need to organize this, and we need to talk to people and say, and sort of kind of, you know what I mean? Like, put a clearer picture as to what's going on, because all they show right now is, outside of Call of Duty, is uncertainty. You talked about Shattered Space. Nobody knows when it's coming. Indiana Jones, don't know when it's coming. Avowed, don't know when it's coming. Yeah. And those are 3 out of the big 4 that are supposed to drop. Excuse me, 5. 4 out of the 5. Now you include, if you want to, you include Stalker, been delayed 2 months, presumably. Now you got 4 out of 5 big drops this fall are still kind of hanging in the air with no date. And that's when, like I said, I'm okay with it, because I'll just be like, whatever, man. They'll just, when it comes out, it comes out.
Okay.
I got stuff to do or whatever. But I'm saying from the outside looking in, it looks like there's an uncertainty in the air, and it doesn't look good. That's all I'm trying to say. It just doesn't look good. They should have kind of been in front of this before this happened. I gotta go pee.
Okay, I'll take over for a second. Somebody in the chat, thank you, Meg. Somebody in the chat said, who's talking about this? And I think that's the way they were asking that. And yeah, millions and millions aren't talking about this release date thing. There's a release date problem. But the games media, who's reaching out to more people than we can, and all the content creators and the diehards are talking about this. But that isn't the problem. Like Serve in the chat is talking about, we don't know what Microsoft's reasons or Xbox reasons are for delaying games. And they have good reason, is what he's saying. And I agree with that. They do have good reason. If they wanted to get Avowed out by November 13th, and they feel like, you know what, if we just pushed it, we're not going to put it in December, so let's just push it to early spring, and it'll just be a way better game. And they also have to, Serve, they also have to like say, is it worth it? Is the game going to be that much better? Because the optics are going to really hurt us when we have a long span of games, a time where there isn't games. But the reason why I bring this up is there are a ton of games. They have 3 or 4 games right now that are supposed to be in 2024. I have to add one right now that's not on the list that I don't believe is coming out. So let me write it right here so I can get to it. And I'll just say maybe that's December ? Okay. There's Xbox isn't the only ones releasing big games. So for the month of August, while I wait for Mag to get back, the month of August that we're just starting in, right, in a couple days, is pretty much barren as far as big major games that you and I and all of us here in the chat would talk about. But the biggest game doesn't come out till the very last day in August, which is Star Wars Outlaws. And Star Wars Outlaws is in a pretty tough uphill battle right now. Some people are saying it doesn't look polished. The Ubisoft thing is kind of causing it issues. People are really incredulous, or they're not believing it's going to be a great game. So nothing in August, like everything really starts right there with Star Wars Outlaws and into September. September is really packed. And a couple of these games I could talk about before Mag's here because they don't garner discussion, but Xbox themselves has Age of Mythology on PC and Xbox consoles, which is an RPG or a real-time strategy game, right? Age of Mythology is not going to be very big, but they have that September 4th. Then just days after Age of Mythology, Xbox's first big game for Game Pass and from their studios since Hellblade 2 is followed up immediately by Warhammer Space Marine 2 on September 9th. So 5 days after Age of Mythology, Warhammer is coming in. So that's also the exact time that I think, Meg thinks this is like a month after this, but I think the first week of September is supposed to be the window for Shattered Space DLC for Starfield.
I would drop it. I would drop it then. I would drop it in the first week of September, right after. I would drop it on the Tuesday after Labor Day.
But the problem is they're like a month and a week away from that release, and they have no date. I know it's DLC. Maybe they feel like they don't even need a release date until 2 weeks before. What do you think there should be like a long, hey, here's the date, or they can just say, hey, Shattered Space DLC's coming out in 12 days from now?
I think that with this, whatever the hell they're doing, this strategy, quote unquote, I think is personally to me is a mistake. I don't like the way that they're doing this. I don't like that there's no dates for these things. Now, for example, okay, for anybody who's maybe on the fence with what I'm saying or flat out disagrees, that's fine.
Sure.
Let me present this to them. Anybody. I haven't seen the chat. I haven't seen if everybody was trying to chew my face off. But here's the thing.
They said, I hope you fall in when you left to go pee.
Yeah, that's unsurprising. That's usually what my wife says too. I'm used to it.
Did you fall in there?
Yeah. I'm like Eminem. Give me your worst. I've heard it all. Anyways, in all seriousness, let's flip the script here and say that a Zelda game was coming out this fall, or a Mario game, or God of War 3. Okay. We are now in the first week of August and it says 2024, but no release date. Do you not think that people would be like literally tearing off their own skin and running around like just losing their minds, screaming and throwing themselves out of windows? They probably would. But imagine the news stories, because these are first party titles we're talking about here. We're not talking about
and we're used to seeing a release date called out 6 months to a year before. Hasn't that been the thing for like a decade plus?
Well, yeah, and then same thing with movies and like any form of entertainment, whether it's streaming, movies, video games, books, even whatever, right? And so the thing is, at that point,
I'm going to do a poll. Go ahead.
You got to start wondering where people start saying, well, let's say, for argument's sake, that Avowed is releasing on November 13th. Was it 12 or 13 that we saw the placard, and then immediately it disappeared? So I think it was the 13th. It was
the 13th. Yeah.
All right.
Hold on. I'm asking the chat right now. Sure. Are a lack of release dates a concern of yours? Yes or no? So go ahead.
Dude, Zombie, you're absolutely wrong. If you think this is a non-issue, you are absolutely insane. That you would think that there's no communication at this point within a few months of the games coming out. It is an issue because you're not advertising your product.
That's true.
To potential customers, not you, to Zombie, not Mag, not
It's
Cole.
Not just the lack of release dates.
It's not
the release dates usually come with that advertising that you're talking about.
Right.
But we are getting some Avowed and Indiana Jones stuff periodically, but
No, and we are getting stuff about it, but you don't know exactly when or whatever else. Call of Duty, very confident. They came out, they did their trailer, they did the deep dive, they gave you a date, and done. They showed you where it's coming and how it's coming and everything else. People start talking when it's now a month. Okay, now let's say November 13th. Okay, so from November 13th, you're talking about a few months from now. Okay, 3 months from now, basically. All right. If you're not if they're not talking about that product or with a release date, people start questioning the confidence in the product. They start saying, "Is it actually ready? Maybe maybe there's some issues. Maybe there's this." And even if there's not, the problem is you've created issues out of nothing because people will start to question what's going on. That's human nature. People will start to question it. You can't just blindly say, fine, and just walk away. Nobody does that. Not even a lemming would do that. Any person with any kind of half a brain would start questioning, saying, I wonder if everything's all right.
Yeah, I mean, our audience, definitely. Our audience is like very keyed in on you know, when you look at someone's face, you're like, ooh, I wonder if they get along. That's kind of how we are with video games. Like, I wonder if there's a problem. Like, we've got our finger on the pulse, and you're here because these things concern you right now. The poll is split. I fully expect it to be split because
now here's the thing. Yep.
Because some of the chat is saying, I have a backlog. Who cares? I'll play them when they're ready. Luke from Xbox Expansion says, I would rather have them delay the game instead of releasing a broken game. And we're all, I'm sure Mag and I are both like in line with all that too.
For the record, I'm 100% on board with that. From my point of view, see, that's the other problem, that people can't separate what we talk about and they think that that's exactly how we're feeling. We're not. We're doing an observation of the people out in the public that are in this industry. So when we say those things, like for me, I'm 100% on board with, even if you didn't release those games this year at all, but you released a perfect game coming out in 2025, I'd actually be okay with that. Because I have, how many times have I said it on this show, Colt? I have tons of games to play that I need to catch up on. There's no rush for me. Can
you read what Special Nick just wrote in the chat? He's 5 up in the bottom.
I can't see it. Sorry, your thing. 2024 was supposed to be the year we started getting games, and we're still getting basically nothing. No, yep. Well,
you ain't wrong. He ain't lying. No, hey, Master
Jizz. I'm gonna call you that instead. His message was deleted, and he says, "Who are these people? The hardcore y'all are making up Xbox FUD." No, we're not.
Yeah, yes, they are. Yes. Who is that? Who was that? Master Jazz? Yes, they are the hardcore. And we did say that. We said the hardcore care about this stuff, but the games media is also sharing this sentiment that Xbox doesn't have it together.
That's what I was trying to say. So, I mean,
you did say that.
Yeah, I know. And that's what but some people are stupid. So, they don't get it. So, what I'm trying to also say is that you're not talking about me, you, the chat, whatever. Those people, like I said, have their finger on the pulse. They understand what's going on. They're in this business. They're in this industry, or they follow it very closely or are passionate about it. We're not talking about us. We're talking about the 85% of people that are out there that Xbox is trying to attract to their product. And when you're trying to attract new customers to your product, if you don't have anything solid, you don't have anything there, you don't have any advertising, then you have the balls to say you have no money for advertising for areas that you're not doing well. People are starting to laugh at the people going, are you guys joking? Like on the outside. Xbox fans will be like, yeah, whatever, man. We're just kind of doing our thing. And, they don't get involved in this nonsense. But there's people out there that are just like, you're trying to sell me something, but you're selling me nothing.
Well, and I mean, I don't want to get too far afield, because what I'm trying to present to you is that there are a ton of games coming out at the end of this year. And yes, Xbox kind of had this real big dead zone again at the first half of the year. But this is what they have coming up. And this is what they have to dance around. So I was when you came back from your little break there, I said Shattered Space September 9th is my guess. And then there's a Funko Pop game. Funko Fusion comes out a few days later. It's a little third-person Lego type game. Doesn't look all that great, but there's a Dead Rising remaster coming out 10 days after that. And then there's Undisputed 2 weeks after that, which is the EA. I think it's EA. It's a boxing game. I don't know if it's good, but Stalker 2 is supposed to come out. I wish I had this. Yeah, November 13th. So what basically happens is the first half of September is packed, and Xbox is supposed to have 2 major releases in there with Shattered Space DLC and Age of Mythology. And then when you get in November, they have Stalker 2 on November 13th. They're supposed to have Avowed in that same week or so in there. And people always say, they can release those games side by side. No, they don't want to do that.
No.
Microsoft and Xbox want to have a cadence of games, and that's what they still have not done. since 2018, since they launched Game Pass, is have a cadence of games from their first-party studios. Now they have everything pushed forward into the fall. And yes, it may sound like I'm complaining about too many games, but this is the issue where I feel like Xbox is going to push games out of the way because all of their games have finally landed at the end of 2024. And now I don't think they're going to launch them all in November because you have Indiana Jones with no release date. That's probably coming out in November. That's my prediction. Avowed, which I don't think is going to get delayed. It might get delayed because they may just say they need a little more time and it would just be easier for us with Cadence, which they haven't done Cadence yet. So they really can release Avowed and Stalker, which is kind of their game right now, and Indiana Jones in the same month on Game Pass, which would be a huge month. But then December has nothing. They shouldn't put anything in December. And then when's their next game? I have no idea. They also have to dance around Dragon Age Veilguard, which I heard that Dragon Age Veilguard's release date is hinging on when some of these release dates get called out, because that's going to be a big release. Another one is a Towerborn, the side-scrolling beat-em-up game that's very promising. It's supposed to come out sometime. Maybe it makes it December, but I'm not so sure that game's going to get delayed to 2025. Also, they have Flight Sim. Flight Sim 2024 is a whole new game, a whole new release. That game is set for November 19th. Right in the middle, if you're looking at the box of November, Avowed, Indie, Flight Sim, and Stalker are all like right here in the middle of the box, right? And so I'm like, this is a problem. It's a good problem. And I don't want to complain about that, but they need to figure out what they're going to do with the release dates, because if they have 2 major games in September and then they have 4 games, possibly 5 if Towerborn makes it, in November, why don't we have release dates yet? Like, they haven't. It's kind of weird that isn't figured out yet when people are going to start buying these games.
That's stupid. That is stupid. That's not going to work. And it's not going to. What's going to happen is the games are not going to get the time, the space to breathe, and like the you know what I mean, like respecting each other's space, the respect that they deserve to once they're launched, that people will spend the time to play them. If you are starting to now a steady cadence is a different situation where you're talking about, every 3 months you release a game, you give it plenty of time, you bolster it with ABK back titles, third-party deals, and indie games. Fine, you could do all that stuff, and you give something people to look forward to 3 months from now, but you also give that one title enough time that you're able to respect the material that's being released. If you release a dump truck of stuff in a matter of a couple of weeks, you know what's going to happen? People are and I'm telling you this right now. People are going to go, okay, fine. The next one. All right, let me see what this is all about. Yeah, all right, it's all right. And then, oh, this one's pretty good. I'll probably go back to that. All right, let me try this one.
That is the truth. I mean, it's okay as long as you're paying for Game Pass. Like, I guess that's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of Microsoft doesn't mind so much if you just mess around with the game. They want you to stay on the console and monetize everything, but it is, if you get too many great things, some people may bounce. I don't know if that's really I tend to do that if you get a couple really great games, or a couple of interesting games. My other issue, Mag, is that they're like, November's fire, and they try all those games, and in December they're like, what do they have next? Oh, nothing. I'm gonna unsubscribe. And that's not our problem. That's Xbox's problem.
That's not our problem. But people will do that because I know some people are like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. So for some people, it is a big deal. They will unsubscribe until there's something on there they want to play and whatever, because they raise the price. And some people, it is priced some people, not everybody, but it is priced some people out, because don't forget, some people say, oh, it's only a couple of dollars more. Sure, if you were an Ultimate member. But if you were a standard member, it raised to almost $10. Right? Because now the standard doesn't have day and date release anymore. Right?
But if you stayed, you're okay. But if you bounced out and had to come back, yeah.
I'm just saying. So what I would do personally, I would just say you release the Shattered Space in September. And this is just from an Xbox front, and I'm not talking about the other stuff, because remember, you also forgot to mention AC Shadows is in there as well.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
It's in the mix, right? I would say Shattered Space. You do it the Tuesday after Labor Day. That's what I would do. October, you got Call of Duty. October's no.
Can I shoehorn something in there?
Absolutely.
I would push Avowed all the way up to middle or end of September.
Sure, because I don't know how long this DLC is going to be.
I got to say, I'm really excited for Avowed. I think it's going to be great. I was talking to a friend about how good it's going to be, what we think it's going to score. I think it could be like a high 70, maybe a low 80. And my opinion is if you delay Avowed a few more months, if the game is only what it is, see if you understand what I'm saying, Mag. Like if Avowed is only about this great, a few more months delay of extra polish isn't going to make the game enough better. It's not a word, but you know what I mean?
Okay, I get it. Yep.
Me personally, I'm like, give me Avowed in September. I'll play that at the end of September. But if you wait until March and it's so marginally better, we would never know anyway. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. Let's see Avowed at the end of September.
End of September would work because actually that would give Call of Duty almost a month. You'd almost have a month breather between that and Call of Duty. That should be enough time for at least to roll credits. And if you want to be a completionist, that's a whole other story. That's going to take you longer. As I'm a completionist, I know.
I mean, they said it's like a 25, 30-hour game, so
okay, so you can easily roll credits. By Canadian Thanksgiving, you'll be rolling credits, which is like the first weekend of October, right? So there's plenty of time for that. That makes sense. Call of Duty at the end of October, done. Stalker 2, if it lands somewhere around presumably November 13th, fine, great. But I think at that point, I would actually not release Indy Jones in December. I would give it more time. I would give it more time and release it in the first quarter of 2025. So that, and then at that point, hopefully now you can pace at a steady cadence of first-party title releases at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like you release a couple in there, but now you're going to spread a little bit into 2025. You have other titles in 2025, and then you're going to do what Greeny was talking about all those years ago, where he said, we're going to have 4 first-party titles per year.
One every quarter.
One every quarter. And then that's how you know what I mean? And then get into your stride. Once you get into that stride, there'll be no more talking about this. But right now, with the way they're doing it, with no release dates and nothing else, it's not the way to do it.
I just want to interject. I firmly believe that unless some like explosion happens on the printer, on the fax machine at Machine Games, that Indiana Jones would make 2024. It's Avowed is the one where I feel like they can say, what do you guys want to do? Like, you guys want some extra time? Because we could certainly move you and give you some breathing room. I think Indiana Jones is coming out this year, but I totally agree with you 100%, Meg. December. No December for Indiana Jones. No, not in the dead zone.
Okay, so let's have a compromise here. The compromise is going to be either Avowed or Indy Jones gets moved to Q1 2025. And I'd be okay with that because then you're going to spread out the games. Like I said, give them the space they need and give gamers the time and subscribers the time to check out the game instead of slamming you in the mouth with all of these games at once. And then people are not going to engage with them as much. And some of those games will slip through the cracks and it's not going to get the attention and time it deserves. And of course, on top of that, advertising. You don't want to advertise, well, we got this, and this in 6 days. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Spread it out. Get the awareness out there. Put the commercials out there on TV, on YouTube, on everything else, on Twitter and blah. And you get people out there and checking the stuff out, right? And you get those subscribers in there. And if you're doing it at a steady pace and they score well on a regular basis, the fan base will continue to grow. If you do not do that, it's the lack of consistency that has been the devil.
Where they feel like it's dead time right now. Where the games, and I've been watching the chat, and I know you guys are ticked about us complaining. I gotta give you some perspective that I'm not. It does sound like we're complaining, but we're giving our concerns because when I'm playing the games, when we've got the games, when we're in the middle of playing them, or we've got all the cool news and everything is like we're hands-on, it's like I won't be complaining about eating when I have food. And so while we're waiting for the games, and there are concerns, there are valid concerns about Indiana Jones, there are valid concerns about Avowed, about how they look or when their release date, and we're definitely trying to be, you can't win. And I'm not mad at you, chat, because I was on Nate the Hate and Modern Vintage Gaming's podcast. I talked about this last week, and some people were really upset that I was on the show, but there's a ton of people who were like, wow, Colt really had valid complaints and was actually really critical, and it was really cool to see. That's because that audience doesn't like Xbox. So when I say, I don't like that Xbox doesn't have release dates, they're like, oh, they just start eating it up. But these criticisms are good. Like,
these
I
are
don't like
not
to harp on them too long.
But the funny thing is at the end of the day, and I've said it before, 3 times before in the last half hour, is that this doesn't affect me personally. I'm talking about a topical subject that is affecting other people, not me.
And Mag will wait. Mag has said many times on the show, Mag will wait until he's done with a couple games that are in his hot hands, and he'll wait till the sale or when the patches come in. So Mag's definitely not complaining. I'm the one who jumps on a game. I'm the one who told you I'll play Avowed even if it's a month or two undercooked, when normally I'm like, a delayed game's a better game. But I have to be honest with you. Like, I could play Avowed at the end of September because I think that game's ready. Who was it in the chat that said, you guys are all being really great. I appreciate you. And your criticism it's good because we were learning. Who was it that said Avowed? He said, I could see Indy. I'm so sorry. I don't see it as I'm scrolling. It was Kevin. Kevin said, I think Indy gets moved. Avowed looks more ready to me. And I agree. Well, I think they both look about the same ready. They showed a ton of gameplay. So it's okay to think maybe if Indy was the one that's going to be delayed. So, okay. You guys are, fantastic.
Doesn't affect me at all.
I got a couple supers here. I know. Mag's good for it because Mag's doing the smart thing, and games cost 9 times more in Canada. Meat Puppet says, hey, with the eyeballs, the channel member, we got Game Seeker with a Canadian $10 super chat. Says, do you think Bethesda will have an MMO games as a service spinoff like Starfield, ESO, or Fallout 76 in the future? Now, there's a rumor that they were pitching a Starfield Fallout 76 style, like multiplayer co-op type thing. I'd never heard anything after that. That was early last year. The ZeniMax Online team has a big AAA brand new thing that's not Elder Scrolls. It's a new IP. So I don't know. I thought we would hear about it this year. So Game Seeker, I'd say if we're going to hear any MMO games as a service, it's probably going to be that new IP from ZeniMax Online that does Elder Scrolls. So
it's better that we don't hear about it. Let them do their thing. Let them work. Let them do it. Take however many years, whatever. There's enough stuff to do between now and then, whatever. Take your time, do your thing, do it well. And then when you're ready to talk about it, you're ready to show it, then show it. That's it. That's my philosophy with all this stuff. I'm tired of hearing about stuff that's not done, this and that, whatever. It's better that if they got a new IP, go to work, put your head down, don't talk
show
about
us
it.
when it's ready to almost ready to launch. The problem that Xbox had was they were so absent with games for so long that in 2020 they just said, look, here's what we're doing. And it really carried for a couple years. But then when you're like, why isn't there another trailer? That's when it caused problems. Red Wolf, thank you so much for the $10 super. Gosh, thank you so much. He's a great friend. He says, for anyone who hasn't tried the Stalker series and also loves old school Fallout games, the Stalker trilogy, which is the very old version, which is on Xbox, I think. He's talked to me about it so much. He says, the Stalker trilogy is available on console now. If you play it like an OG Fallout game, you'll absolutely love it. I've been in party chats with Red while he is totally immersed. He's picking up every bullet and wiping them off, and he's pretty convinced that Stalker 2 is going to be really great. Somebody in the chat earlier said that it's going to get Hellblade 2 numbers. I think Stalker 2 has a pretty well-loved audience. I've never played the games. Maybe that's what I need to play the next month. So,
what, the first Stalker?
I've never played the Stalker games. They look like Metro to me. They look just like Metro, and I love those games a lot. Have you played
Metro's
them?
Great. Well, I don't recall playing the first one. It's been so long. I mean, that was early aughts. Or no, mid-aughts. So I don't even remember.
Does that mean early 2000s?
Yeah. I think
I never know what to call, like, when I want to say 2008s.
I think
like
that's
2008, I'll say the late 2000s. Oh, crap. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. That's what they used to say, like, in was aught 6, they say in Shawshank Redemption. Something like that.
I think it's aughts. I've heard people say
double O's. Double O is a double aught buck.
All right, so there you go. I played all the Metros, obviously. They were fantastic games.
Yep.
I enjoyed every single one of them. And I honestly, I'd have to go back and look to see if I actually played Stalker, because you're not wrong. When I saw even the trailer for Stalker 2, I actually thought it was a trailer for a new Metro. Because
it looks just like it.
It looks just like it, the same idea. And I know one's Russian, one's Ukraine, but you know.
Balding Baby says that bots is such a boomer term. It would actually be the generation before the boomers. What would you call those? See, I got you. See, right between the kisser. Like, I don't know what they call the people before the boomers. My great grandparents. What would my great grandparents be?
I don't know.
What was before the baby boomers? Old.
Old silent movies and Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, the people that were in World War, the flappers.
The flappers, yeah, pretty much.
Yo, Don says the flappers. Yeah, it was like the Charleston flapper people. The silent generation. You know what? He might be the greatest generation. I've heard those. The boozers.
The goobers.
The goobers.
Yeah. I don't think there are any more. I don't think there are any more World War I veterans anymore. I don't think there are.
The silent gen back then, they told their kids, "Shut your mouth." See, no, you don't need to talk to your kids. See, don't need you to talk. The Peaky Blinders.
Let me tell you something, kids. Yeah, you better have your cigarettes for dinner, say, or else you're not going to be sitting in your room and you're not going to have any of that. And you make sure that you eat nothing but red meat, say. Yeah.
Back then, like the cigarette signs will have like a doctor. 9 out of 6 doctors recommend Marlboro Lights.
You know, it's funny.
My dad. Double out, boom.
My dad, way back in the 70s and 80s, he used to prescribe menthol cigarettes for people with asthma.
Your dad?
That was common in those days, yeah.
Is he in prison now?
No, that's what everybody did. Doctors and pharmacists and all that stuff.
I'm going to write you a prescription for menthol cigarettes, you filth, snicking a lickety slip in a minute. Yeah.
It's absolutely 100% a fact, man. It's a fact. They used to prescribe menthol cigarettes for people with asthma.
So menthol actually had menthol like minty vapor stuff in them.
Yeah, and they actually used to prescribe those for people with asthma. Can you imagine that? Yeah, that was all the way up to the 80s, if you can believe it.
Oh, the chat. You guys are all banned. Oh boy, you guys are.
I love
7-Up used to have 7-Up did not have lithium in it, but Coke had cocaine. It was fantastic. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you actually go pick up cocaine for one of the doctors when you get toward the end of the game.
They still use cocaine in certain medications. Yeah. Like medications now, so they still use cocaine and cocaine eye drops for babies that are born with. You know, when babies are born with the eye, like the skin over the eyes is that film, and like, well, you know when you see a baby in utero, it has like the thin skin over the eyeballs, right?
Oh, okay.
And then that peels back in the last couple of weeks before the baby comes out.
My eyes still haven't opened up. Look at them.
Well,
so he's like, how do you see?
If that skin hasn't peeled back and the baby is born with the thing on there, there's a thing they make. It takes like 6 hours to do. It's called the cocaine eye drops, and it's a special formula that they use and they drop in there, and it actually pulls the skin back.
You think I could get that right now? Doc, I got the skin over my eyes. Just walking like this.
Oh, not for you.
Doc.
Yeah, no, but they still do it. They still do it to this day.
Can you administer before I go on to X and C, the Xbox negative podcast? That's what someone said in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I hear you
100%
guys.
a thing. Cocaine eye drops are 100% still a thing.
All right, let me break this down really quick. I haven't done this at all on the show, but this is the X&C podcast, the Xbox Newscast podcast, and I'm here with Middle-Aged Game Guy, my co-host, and we've been griping, but it's also celebrating game news, and we're on here every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time live and 8 p.m. Eastern live for about an hour or two, and we are also on Spotify and iTunes and other platforms. Thuffer and Thuckatash, which I had my first succotash the other day. Had a great dinner with my wife, and the guy's like, "You want some succotash?" And I'm like, "I'll try it." Apparently, it's just canned corn. Wasn't that big of a deal. But I just want to break this down. So I'm going to say this really quickly. I'm just going to bang these games out for you. Star Wars Outlaw at the end of August. Age of Mythology, first week of September, who cares? Warhammer Space Marine 2, a week later. Starfield Shattered Space DLC, probably around that same time. Funko Fusion, which looks kind of goofy, a few days after that. Then a few days after that, Dead Rising Remaster. So there are times where there's a new game every week. Undisputed, a boxing game about 2 weeks later. Stalker 2, a couple weeks later. A day later, Assassin's Creed Shadows in Japan. And then a couple days later, Flight Sim 2024. Yes. Right in the middle, somewhere in there, maybe either a month before or after Flight Sim, Avowed. Dragon Age Veilguard is probably releasing somewhere in mid-November, amongst all those games I just talked about. And then Towerborn is maybe December, or I don't know. Those are a ton of games, and that's why we wanted to bring it up, to see Xbox doesn't have a release date, so I really would like to know what they're doing. I would like to be able to talk to them as a content creator and a podcaster and someone who reports news on social media. I'd like to be able to say, hey, here's the games coming to Xbox. Here's when they're coming. Which ones are you interested in? So that's it. That's all I wanted to say, Mag. I hope that's okay with you. What stands out? What are a couple that stand out for you there from those games?
I would say that. Plus, there's also two others. If you're talking about on the,
I didn't even say Call of Duty, dude. Call of Duty's like.
I was gonna say you missed 3. Call of Duty, Silent Hill 2, and Astrobot as well are somewhere in the mix there.
Yeah, these were all games that are coming to Xbox.
Specifically to the Xbox. Okay.
No,
okay.
You're
I
right.
You were just talking about all like because you were mentioning third party, so I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Call of Duty is like for the fall, and I will play that day one because Call of Duty's Call of Duty. I always played Call of Duty day one. That's a big one. That's the biggest one for me. The wait and sees are going to be the Star Wars Outlaws and the AC Shadows because I want to see how they end up like looking, like the final product, and of course the scores. Because I don't know, there's a little bit of uncertainty with the titles. I'm not talking about the politics and all that crap. I'm just talking about the games themselves. Like I just like, they don't look as great as they.
AC Shadows looks really good.
It's Star Wars Outlaws that was actually concerning me more than anything else.
Yeah, same.
It just didn't look as good as when they first showed it. You know what it reminded me of? What the hell was that hacker game that they had? They made a trilogy out of it.
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs.
What the hell was that hacker game? See? Gee, have your menthol cigarette, see?
I forgot that. Watch Dogs. You remember the first trailer of Watch Dogs and then the actual game released, and it was like almost night and day difference of what they showed and what they. The first couple trailers for Star Wars Outlaws looked magnificent, and I'm like, oh man, maybe this is my. And I remember saying this last year on this very show. I was like, listen, Starfield didn't do it for me, but maybe Star Wars Outlaws will be my Starfield. Maybe that will be my planet trotting sort of adventure, whatever, set in the Star Wars universe with the scum and villainy of the Hutts and everything else and blah blah blah. I said maybe that's more my speed. This other game didn't do it for me. Now, fast forward a year later, now I'm just like, maybe I'm gonna have to. This might be a wait and see. So let's say Call of Duty's the big one I'm waiting on, and actually Indiana Jones. Those are the two big ones for me for the fall. I will play both of those day one, whichever dates they choose to drop for indie, if it happens to fall in this year. And then that's it. Other than that, the other ones can wait because I'm not like I don't have a candle in the window waiting for any of the other ones. So I'm just like I'll just play them when I get to them, and then and of course if they score well and they do well with the community, because I actually with our gaming community and the people I talk to and the people that DM me all the time and we have conversations, I actually respect their opinions more than anybody else. Legacy media, I don't listen to their bullshit crap, and I almost swore. But anyways, I don't listen to legacy media garbage. I'd rather listen to the players. So like when I reach out to players or they reach out to me, they're like, "Yo, Mag, this is awesome. You should try it." I listen to those people. So I will see what some of those people say about these other titles.
Okay, Jonas Sedez says.
What about you?
Jonas Sedez says, Meg, you guys. He says you guys sound like you're sponsored by Werther's Original, Gold Bond, and Vicks Vapor Rub. Yeah, we're the old guys up in the balcony yelling at everybody. For sure.
Yeah, make sure you brush your teeth with baking soda, see? And then after that, smoke 8 cigarettes before you go to bed, and maybe perhaps eat some red meat. No vegetables. Carry on, Colt. What are you looking forward to for the fall?
At your grocer's freezer. I am looking forward to from this list. Warhammer Space Marine, Shattered Space, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Avowed. But I might be surprised by Dragon Age Veilguard and. I'm getting Star Wars Outlaws, I think. I'm going to be one of those guys that when the Metacritic comes out that morning, if it's in the 70s, I'm going to be like,
Wait for
maybe I'll wait. Hopefully I'll be playing something, but you know me with the backlog. If I'm not playing it, I gave up on it, and I'm probably never going back. So I don't know. I think all of the concerns aside, we just really want to say that Xbox needs to be more proactive than reactive, especially when it comes to their schedule of games. We all know that they're supposed to be releasing games in the next couple of months, and we'd like to know when those are, and we would like them to figure out how they're going to pace those games out, because I don't want to go another 8 months when the holiday's over, when Christmas time's over for North America or whatever. I don't want to wait months and months for Xbox to release something again like they did last year and the year before. So I don't know, Meg, that's all I wanted to talk about today, and wanted to let you go and thank you for everything. And you're going to be taking a break here. We'll probably miss a couple of shows next month for vacation time, but we'll keep you abreast of all that stuff.
I will be tuning in on next week. I will not be here. I'm going to be out of town. So, I'm going to be out of town for about 10 days, so I will not be there, but I will be back for the week after that, and then I'm away, and then you're away the week after that, and I'm away as well again. Yeah. So, there's a lot of moving parts going on in the month of August, and then I do have other trips still going on, too. I'm going to the U.S. 3 times. The Eagle is landing in the United States. I will be there September. No joke.
You can't say Eagle. The Eagle is ours. What is the bird of choice for Canadians?
Well, we have hawk.
The goose?
We have
the goose has landed.
We have the Canadian geese, but we also have hawks up here that are monstrous. Like there's one that's behind my house, or 2 of them. They're almost a foot tall.
Are they red-tailed hawks?
Huge. No, I don't know. They're just hawks. I'll show you a picture of them. They're really cute.
Oh, that's what. Now you have to say the hawk has landed. We're not allowing you to say the.
And everybody knows in Canada we got big hawks.
Oh, great! Yo, Donnie. Oh gosh. Somebody remove his credentials. Look what he wrote.
That's right, Donnie. I got big Hawk Tuies up here. Actually, funny enough, I'll be heading to Hawk Tui country very shortly in September. I'll be in Nashville. But I'll be in the U.S. Literally September, October, and November. I'll be in the U.S. So it's gonna be pretty funny.
The chat is cooking right now.
Oh, dude, they're the best, man.
Thank you. We're trying to make it short. I really don't want to keep you guys here. I wanted to talk about the things, and what we really want to talk about was the end of 2024 and that roadmap. And thank you for sticking with us and putting up with our nonsense. So appreciate it. I'm going to try and find a game that I'm going to be playing over the next couple of weeks. So anybody wants to send a message after the show posts, leave a comment there that'll stay forever and tell me what I should be playing. And then when we'll get out of here. All right, Meg, thanks everybody. Follow us on Twitter, and thank you for all your support on YouTube. I'm going to hit the outro. It's hot in here. We're surrounded by wildfire, and it's smoky. All right? It's smoky. All right, Meg, I'll see you next week, bro. I'll talk to you when the mics are off. Then we can really say what we want to say. Later.